everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter here for the next 20 minutes. Today, we are going to be talking about creating individuals within the membership module. So we're going to chat a little bit about the family aspect of it, and then adding people to that family and the different fields that are available for you to specify for those people that you put into the software. I am following along a little bit from the workbook. So it's our M101 workbook, and it's specifically pages 24 through 31. So if you have the M101 workbook, feel free to follow along with that. So I'm using that loosely as an outline for today. I kind of have a different order I want to do things that for me is a little bit more intuitive. So I'm gonna use it as a guide, but I'm not going to be page per page for today's webinar. If you want to purchase our workbooks, though, you can do so out on our website, churchwindows.com. Under supporting and training, you can definitely purchase any of our workbooks we have. You can look through the table of contents and purchase the one that works best for what you're needing help with. Feel free to ask questions during today's presentation as well. Josh is in here with me. He'll be able to give you a typed response as well if you type that question in while I'm presenting. If you've done a webinar with me before, I don't actually read the questions until I'm done teaching. I find that if I try to read the question and talk, I get mixed up. So I actually have that section completely closed up. Don't even look at it, but I will at the end. So if you want to wait to ask your question at the end, feel free to do so. There's a bunch of people on today's webinar, which is great. So I would ask that if you do ask a question, just try to keep it topical. If it's a little off topic or something really specific to your data, this isn't going to be the best place to ask it, but we do want to help you. So give us a call on our support line or email us to support@churchwindows.com. And that would be a better path for us to get you the answer that you're looking for. But if you have general questions about what we're going over, please feel free to type those in, and we will be happy to get you an answer. I am recording today's webinar. I'll get it out on the website by the end of the day for everybody. You can rewatch it, share it with somebody you think might find this information beneficial. Again, that's churchwindows.com, and then just go to our support center. A lot of really, really good information out there that's also free. So, all right, let's get started. So on your screen, you're going to see my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and go into membership here. And I just want to point out a couple of things about the people section in membership. So in the membership module, right here in the middle, I'm going to click people, and it's going to open me up to my first record. So what I kind of want to do is point out a couple things about this screen first, just some general information, and then I'm going to put in my family and just kind of walk through that step so you guys can really see from start to finish how you can create an individual in the software. I'm going to jump to the Arnold family though. So as you can see quickly here on page 24, on the left-hand side, the screen is split into two sections. You have a left side and a right side. The left side is going to be the family information. Okay, so when I talk to new customers and trying to explain how this screen works, it's like on the left is their house, and then over on the right are the individuals that you put into the house. Okay, so essentially you have to create the house on the left and then put the individual in on the right. So even if it's just one person, a single person, you still have to create their house or their family record on the left, even if it's a single person. And then over on the right, you have to put the individuals that make it up. Okay, now down here on the left, this is where you are able to quickly see all of the people that make up the house or the family, okay? So as we click through these different records, if you look to the right, you can see that then the information that's being displayed changes based on the person that you have selected. Okay, so right now we have Jen, and now we see all Jen's information because I have her picked. If I choose Richard, pretty straightforward. All of Richard's information now is going to show up on the right, okay? Also, something nice about this is you can resort this list here on the left. So you can right-click someone and you can hit them to move up or move down. So William, he might have been the head of the household, but he's since passed. As you can see, he's deceased. And once you have someone marked inactive, their age no longer shows. He's also displayed in red. Let's say he was the primary person in the family, but now that he's passed, we're going to move him down in the list, okay? So a simple right click then would scooch them up or down, okay? So down here at the bottom, you are going to see their name, their age, as long as they're still living, their family relation, which is directly pulled from this field over here. Their age is going to be pulled from their birth date. So if you have someone that you know is still alive, but their age isn't showing over here on the left, it could be because their birth date is not filled out entirely. Okay, now something I would like to point out, a lot of times people will know someone's month and day, but they won't specifically know the year they were born. Do not leave it blank. You actually want to put in question marks there. Okay, that's going to be the clear way to handle someone whose birthday that you know their month and their day, but you don't actually know the year they were born. Make sure you use those question marks, okay? Now, you can also adjust over here on the left people's whose ages you want to see, okay? So you can go up to settings up here at the top under special functions. Oops, once I close out of people here. And you can specify who you want to see ages for over in that lower left-hand corner. So you can specify, do you want to show ages for everybody? Do you want to show ages for those younger than, say, 19 or for no one? All right, so this is where you can go in and really customize that lower left-hand screen as far as age is concerned. Okay. All right, so now let's talk about actually creating a family. I'm going to do my family, me and my husband, my two boys, just so you can really get a full idea of the full process of how to make somebody up, okay? So first thing you're going to do, you're going to open up to people. It's going to open up to your first record that you have in the database. It's always what it's going to do. Up here in the top left, first thing you're going to have to hit is add family. Again, if you're adding a family of 4 like me, or you're adding a single person, you always have to hit the add family button first, okay? Now, if you have a family that currently exists, okay, let's say we're looking at the Arnold family and they have a new person, their child from out of town wants to join, and they've never been in church windows before. Because they want to be part of an existing family, all you have to do is hit add individual, and that is just going to put one person into an already existing family. All right, but if you're starting from scratch, brand new family, say my family just came joined your church, you have to hit the add family button first, okay? So going into people, we're hitting add family. First thing you're going to have to specify is the family's category, okay? So that's going to be whether they are a member or a visitor. I'm going to go ahead and choose visitors here, and then you're going to say, okay. You have to select your category first. This is your first screen that's going to pop up. Once you say okay, a family number is going to be assigned, and now you need to put in a mailing label. So this is if you were going to address a letter, send a letter to my family, what would you want the top of that letter to say? So I'm going to do Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell. Oops, I just spelled my husband's name. Fine, okay. Now, you don't have to be that formal. You could just do Mitchell and Rachel Klein. You could just do the Klein family. It's completely up to you, but what I would recommend is staying consistent with whatever format you decide to use with your mailing label, okay? Once you get your mailing label in, next you're going to come down and do your address. Don't simply type the address in here. That's not going to work. You have to hit the little green plus sign first, okay? Once you hit that little green plus sign, now you're going to be able to put in the family's address. If you don't have it, you can always come back and do it later. I'm just going to do church windows, address. Zip code by default already popped up. That's a setting, city, and state, okay? You can also fill in the country if you wish, all right? Now, if you have any bulk mailing information for this family, you can do that here. If you have any family alternate address, say we have a place in Florida, I wish we could go here family alternate and you could put that alternate address in and when that family is at that address. Say we always go from May to August or something like that, or November to February, whatever it might be, you would put those effective dates in here, okay? And then the program will know to, when you do a mailing, to automatically pull that other address because it's in effect, all right? Once you have the address information in, hit OK. Now it pops in here as our address. If they have a primary phone, put that right in there. You don't need any dashes or slashes or parentheses. Simply type in the digits, okay? Now, once you get the family information done, you're going to come over here, hit Add Individual. And this is where you are going to start putting these specific people in, which is the creating individuals part of the webinar for today, okay? So I'm going to hit Add Individual. I'm going to put my name in first here. Rachel, you could, if you know their middle name, you can put that in. If they have a title to their name, if they are a doctor, reverend, something like that, feel free to put that over here in the title box. There's also the option for a suffix. You can put that in. That would be like if they're a junior, or maybe they want MD or PhD at the end of their name. That's where you would fill that in. If someone has a nickname, like my husband's name is Mitchell. Everybody calls him Mitch. You would then put in Mitch in the nickname, and you could check this use nickname box, and then whenever it generates a report and he's on it, it's going to use Mitch instead of Mitchell, okay? Now, let's start talking about all these fields down here. These are individualized fields. Your software, if you're new to it, is going to come with a bunch of default fields, but you have the option to go in and customize these, okay? You can change the order, you can add new fields, you can hide fields that you don't want to use. So over here on the right, you have a Customize Fields button. You can also get to it up at the top under Special Functions, Customize Fields. This is where you go in and you really make the software your own. This is one of the great features about Church Windows. You can really set it up to track what your organization, your church has decided to track. So if you have specific things you have to follow or keep track of for your denomination, this is where you can go in and set up and create those fields. Okay, so you can also change the order of the fields as they are listed. So if I close this, you can see my first field is status code, family, and then family relation, and so forth, and so down, and so far down. Now you can hit customize fields, and you can change the order. Let's say I want to put the contact information, so their cell phone, their work phone, their email address up higher in the list. Simply highlight the field you want to move and use these big chunky arrows here. You're going to keep clicking until it's up towards the top, okay? So this is another great feature for you to customize. Now, you can also add new fields. If there's a field you want to track, like I said, that doesn't automatically come with the software, you can hit the Add button, and it's going to create you a new field here that you can track. You want to remove a field, you would simply come over here, hit the minus, and it's going to allow you to delete it, okay? Now, some fields you aren't going to be able to delete. Some fields have to stay in the software, okay? Those are going to be grayed out. As you can see, the red isn't red anymore, it's grayed out. You can also make fields required. Directory report order is a really important field that should always be filled out for every single person in your database, even people that you don't care to see on the directory. They still need to have a directory report order filled in so the software knows who's who within the family, okay? So we could talk about this for another 20 minutes, but a lot of customizing options in here for you in your software. Now, as you can see, my contact fields jumped up here now. Let's kind of go through and go over some of these default fields that you have. Email address, cell phone, work phone, that's all pretty straightforward. Your status code, this is an important field too. This is also a customizable field. If you might have a UMC status or ELCA status. These are different fields that you can set up to track. So status code is a good way to specify what type of member or what type of individual, what their status is within your church, okay? Family relation, again, you can customize this using these little pencils with the plus and minus sign. You can go ahead and choose which applies. I'm going to choose wife. Include on directory. If you want someone to show up on your Church Windows directory, this box has to be checked for them to appear. Directory report order. This is the who's who within the family, okay? So primary. Every household has to have a primary. So like I said, if you create a family that only has one person in it, that person is the primary person in their family. They are still going to need a code, okay? Gender, fill that in. Birth date, if you know it, fill that in. If you don't, again, use those question marks. If they have 2 email addresses, if you know their baptism date, their confirmation date, again, these might not apply to you, but these are available for you to fill in as you know for people. Marriage date is a really good one to fill in if you like to run those marriage reports month to month and send out a mailing to people who have anniversaries or who have birthdays. You have to have the full marriage date filled in for both people. Marital status, fill that in. School grade. Again, school grade is a field that is really beneficial to have filled in because it's going to allow you to run different reports based on whatever school grade someone is in. So this can be really handy for Sunday school, or if you have confirmation classes starting, you want to pull everybody that's in 6th grade. This is where you would be able to pull that information, okay? Now, you can also fill it in if you could say high school graduate, you could put college graduate, you could put whatever you want, again, using the pencils to customize. Here are some other fields. These are a little more specific, maybe to a certain denomination. And then let's keep scrolling to the right here. Some of these fields are going to be gray. That means you can't customize them or make them your own. They're going to be fields that are specifically pulled and useful for church windows. So like the last updated field, last updated by. This is testing data, so I don't have a login for this, but you would be able to see if you have your church windows set up with different users, you'd be able to see who was last in here. It would show their username here. Created by, who originally made this record? You'll be able to see that username, the date it was created, the last date someone was in here and made a change to this record. You track attendance within membership, you'll be able to quickly see the last date they attended. If you track visits in your software, you'll be able to see the last date they were visited by someone. The last giving date, this is pulled over from the donations module. Say I gave last Sunday, you would see last Sunday's date here. Show in scheduler. If you use our scheduler module, which is similar to like an Outlook, a calendar tracking, if you want to see my name available over there to use for different things, say I'm going to be borrowing something or renting a space, you could check this box. Giver number, again, that comes from donations. You would be able to quickly see what my giver envelope number is here. And then there's another alternate phone address or a phone field. Hello, sorry. So that's how you would add one person, hit save. And then you would come back here and you'd add the next person. So I'm going to go ahead and put my husband in quickly. I know I talked a lot, so we're running out of time. Here's that, putting his nickname in. I'll check use nickname. Anything else you know, feel free to fill that in for this person. Now, for my example, I'm a member, my husband is not. And I know that does happen a lot with different people that I talk to, and they want to know how to set someone up. You can always adjust someone's category. So for example, like my church, my family category would be member. But then my husband's status code would be something different. So I am an active member. He would be a non-member spouse. So that's a really helpful way for you to keep track of families who both adults aren't members of the church. Okay, using that status code field. I thought I saw that question come in. Let's see, and then you just continue filling out the different information that you want to see for this person. Again, he's going to be secondary because I'm the primary. And then you continue down the list and so forth and so on. I'm going to hit save. And then you can go on and you can add your kids by hitting add individual and so forth. Okay. I know there's a lot here, but the nice thing about it is you can really make it your own. The last thing I want to talk about is if someone leaves your church. Okay, we're just going to touch on this. Now, if you have someone who's left the church, whatever reason it might be, they've passed away, they've transferred their membership, they've moved away, they just stopped showing up, you will need to come in here and specify that, okay? So deleting an individual is not always going to be the best answer. And now if you have a duplicate that you're cleaning up, deleting will work. But if it's someone who's been involved that since left, the best option is going to be to make them inactive. And that's that field right here. So I'm at the bottom of page 31 now, if you're following along. If someone leaves your church, you want to come in here and make them inactive. If this person has any giving on them at all, you're not going to be able to come up here and delete them. That's a safeguard in the software. So the best option is going to be to make them inactive. Okay, simply check their inactive box. And then there's going to be a little wizard that pops up. You need to follow through the different steps to update this record since they've passed. Okay, so here's some additional fields or optional field changes for Mitch Klein, because that's who I was on. Let's say he transferred to another denomination. Again, you can use the pencil and switch that to whatever you want. You can add the date that they became inactive. You can update the mailing label. Say we need to just leave it on me. Change the family relation, change the status code. You can remove the include on directory checkbox, and remove include on directory and the directory report order, and then also then updating the information for the remaining people in the family. Okay. And now we can see Mitch has turned red because he's no longer involved. Okay.